This conference will now be recorded.
So I just want to welcome you guys to the seminar tonight on how to eat for maximum nutrient absorption. The reality is, as I work with a lot of different clients, one thing I notice is that people are eating a lot of food. However, although they're eating a lot of food, it's not nutrient dense food. So a lot of calories, but few nutrients. In fact, I would say that 90% of the people that I come in contact with day to day, especially through my nutritional consultations, are malnourished. Can you imagine? We are living in not a third world country, in a first world country where we have food on every corner, grocery stores full of food, and most people are malnourished. And why is that happening? Because number one, we're not eating nutrient dense meals. But number two, even with the foods that we're eating, we are not, because of how we're eating, absorbing the nutrients. When I do end up sharing with people and even some health professionals, the amount of calories that I eat in the day are so few. But my numbers, my blood numbers, my iron, my calcium, they're perfect. Why is that? Because when you can eat nutrient dense food, and when you can have good absorption in your digestive system and your intestinal tract, you will find that you can have less food, but so you're eating less calories, but a lot more nutrients. And what does that mean to you or me? Why do we even want to go there? Number one, our body will go back into balance as to the weight that we need to be. And number two, we have tons of energy and we end up not being deficient in certain minerals and vitamins that are so important for fighting disease and making sure, you know, you have good shiny hair and your nails are growing properly and your skin is glowing and your pancreas is working and your kidney is working. These are very important because your body requires certain nutrients every day. So how do we get these nutrients? So number one, I want everyone to make sure that they know some simple things is that digestion is key. Digestion, your GI tract, this hollow organ that goes right, if you want to call it one big hollow organ that goes from the mouth right to the anus. It definitely is like your GI tract, which is, you know, your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine, your rectum, your anus. It's like one big hollow organ. But there are three major organs that are not part of this GI tract that are absolutely key in digestion. So we have the liver, we have the gallbladder, and we have the pancreas. And so we're going to spend just a little bit of time on those today, understanding how you can allow the food you're eating, because many people are eating really wonderful spinach salads and lots of fresh fruits, but you're just not getting, your body's not absorbing the nutrients. So I want to show you today how you can help make that happen. So first, the most important I want you to understand is that where digestion begins. And it's very important for you to know that digestion actually begins in the mouth. Now, there can be, a minor exception to this rule in the sense of digestion. You know, if I see food that I like or I smell food, your mouth begins to salivate, your mouth begins to water, you begin to salivate. So sure, digestion begins with the senses. It can begin with the eyes and it can begin with the smelling. That is absolutely true. But for the most part, digestion begins in the mouth. And this is, I'm going to say, one of the main reasons why our body's not absorbing nutrients. I want to just jump back very quickly to the slide that we had here to understand when food goes into the mouth, it is pushed down through, it's like a peristalsis movement through contractions down the esophagus, and it goes into the stomach. In the stomach, food is liquefied or trying to be liquefied through the stomach acids that come from the stomach, but mostly from the pancreas. And once it's liquefied into something called chyme, it is then pushed through a sphincter into the small intestines, which are not very small. It's about 30 feet long, so it's pretty huge. But it's in the small intestines that food is broken down to its molecular state. So, you know, we have this big apple, but this apple has vitamin C, it has antioxidants, it has fiber, it has water. It's just liquefied in here. In the stomach, food isn't digested. Food is liquefied into chyme, which is a liquid mess of food, and then brought into the small intestines where it's taken apart molecule by molecule. This is so important. I want you guys to get this, that food like has to be broken down to its molecular state. So from that apple, your body can now take out the vitamin C, package it up, send it to the right place. Take out the antioxidants, package it up, send it to the right place. But it can't get into the bloodstream unless it's in its molecular state. And that is part of the digestion process. Now, understanding that is that any waste matter, so generally it should just be fiber, goes then after it's passed through this very long intestinal tract and it's gone through all its breakdown of molecules and your body's trying to get it out before it reaches the finish line so it can get to the large intestine, and then it's like, okay, you don't go out the waste. All that should be left at that point is just the fiber and any waste matter. So if I could just ask you guys, I tried to check who was not muted, but if you guys can all just mute your phone. I'm gonna stop this for 1 second. Just ask you to mute your backgrounds, and I'm just going to go around and just mute everybody so that there's no background noise, and then I will just go back to sharing the screen. Okay, now everybody can hear properly. Thank you for that note. So it's very important to understand that fiber then goes through the colon with any other waste matter and out the rectum. So we're very, very, very happy to have fiber go through the colon, because when fiber goes through the colon, it picks up toxic waste and it sweeps any waste matter, it sweeps any debris, it sweeps any toxins. So you want lots of fiber to go through that colon for you to have a healthy digestive system, and then you have a nice long full bowel movement. Yay, we completed digestion. Well, here's the thing. Let's just jump back to what I was talking about, is that digestion begins in the mouth in 2 ways. One, you have amylase digestive enzymes that are in the mouth, and that actually starts stage 1 of digestion. If food goes from the mouth to the stomach without those digestive enzymes wrapped up in it, guaranteed, folks, guaranteed, your system will start to feel a little bit bloated. It has to work harder because you didn't get it wrapped up in your saliva. How do you get food wrapped up in your saliva? We must chew our food. So the recommended amount of bites is 32. I don't count when I'm chewing my food, but you want to make sure that it's almost liquid before you swallow. Number one, that will slow you down with eating, so you'll probably end up eating less. Number two, you have to stop. You have to take a break. You have to chew your food. If you don't chew your food and it goes into your stomach enzymes, that hydrochloric acid, is not strong enough to take whole food and liquefy it. So that means it doesn't get liquefied. So you may have eaten a wonderful big kale salad with spinach in it, and you've got your nuts and seeds in there, and some radishes and all this good food, but it requires a lot of chewing. If you didn't chew that properly and your hydrochloric acid can't liquefy it, it goes into the intestinal tract, not liquefied. Guess where that's going, folks? Because your intestinal tract is where food is brought down to its molecular state, but it can only do that, and it's only been built and designed to take the liquid matter and break it down to molecules. It does not have the enzyme action to take whole food and break it down to liquid. So if you didn't chew your kale properly, you didn't chew your radishes properly, you didn't chew your proteins properly, and it goes into your intestinal tract almost whole or not liquefied, it's going in the toilet. So all that money you spent on all that organic kale and spinach and radishes and everything else you ate is literally going down the drain. So I really want to emphasize that it's very important to chew your food to liquid. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, gut bacteria. It is extremely important for digestion to happen to have good gut flora. You want to make sure you have the right amount of probiotics. It slows the food going from the mouth to the anus. People that do not have good bacteria flora tend to have extremely loose bowel movements. They didn't have the chance to form properly. It also helps your gut bacteria, helps with the absorption of nutrients. It also helps with strengthening your immune system and making sure the right nutrients get to your immune system. 80% of your immune system lies in your intestinal tract, believe it or not. So to have a good, strong immune system, you have to have good bacteria flora in your gut. And in order for your body to absorb nutrients and to do that proper action of taking nutrients and bringing them into the bloodstream, your bacteria flora plays a huge role in that. If you have been taking antibiotics, even in the last 10 years, guaranteed you have a compromised gut flora. If you have a lot of stress in your life, constantly releasing this cortisol, whether you're emotionally stressed out, whether you are, and that could be through bad relationships, just, work stress, just anything that plays on you emotionally where you're frustrated a lot, you're bothered a lot, you're upset a lot, you are definitely going to be releasing cortisol that will kill that bacteria flora. What else can do that is also by destroying that bacteria flora is not sleeping. So if you're not getting 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep a night, you are definitely also going to have a compromised bacteria flora. If you are eating high sugar foods, high refined carbohydrates, you will grow the bad bacteria, which will take over the good bacteria, and that can become a candida issue, and your nutrients will not be able to be absorbed properly because you have this candida, this yeast overgrowth, which is growing over your good bacteria. It's creating, just a cloudy mess for your digestive enzymes to work, and your energy will be drained as well. So very important, and I know I'm sharing a lot of information tonight. As I was putting the seminar together, I thought we should have had part 1 and part 2 because it's a lot of information. But I want you guys to be thinking of how can I help this good bacteria flora to grow? And I will share that at the end as I share the rhythm of eating. So understanding just that you want to make sure that you're staying away from refined sugars, refined carbohydrates, acknowledging the stress in your life, knowing that that can make a difference as well. What are good foods for probiotics? So how can we create good probiotics? So I will share as I go through the rhythm of eating of how just eating properly, you will grow your own good probiotics. But the reality is, if you have been on antibiotics or have had a lot of stress damage or very impure eating, you might need a little hand at growing probiotics. So we've got lots of probiotics sitting on shelves inside health food stores. Do I recommend them? You may need, if you decide that you want to change your diet, reduce your stress level, improve your sleep, and if you've especially been on antibiotics, you may definitely want to get on a healthy probiotic, depending on your situation, of 50 billion and 80 billion, but don't live on probiotics. You probably only need them for a short period of time. Is it ideal to eat foods that are rich in probiotic? Probiotic rich yogurt, Greek yogurt, all of these yogurts are, multi-million dollar industries, to tell you the truth, and they are so damaging for your body. I will say that without even flinching, yogurt is not, although they're full of probiotics, it is so damaging to your digestive system to have to digest dairy products, because it's food that was not designed for human beings. So your body doesn't recognize it as food. And I would just remind you that as we are coming on, just to make sure that you are muted, and I will just mute you in the background there. Thank you. Just so that we don't have any feedback. So dairy products, detrimental for the system. So I hear a lot of people taking a probiotic yogurt so they get good bacteria flora. Guys, don't believe the hype. We can't believe everything that they're making these commercials and these ads to sell their product. When you can actually, if you don't want to buy probiotics, you can make some sauerkraut. So we do have a cooking demo coming up on how to make your own sauerkraut. And I encourage you, if you're not a member, for just $10 a month, you get to come into these cooking demos absolutely free every month. Otherwise, you just pay $10, or you can look it up instead of me showing you how to do it, but just by mixing some cabbage with some salt and letting it ferment for a couple days and adding that to your salads, you can naturally increase good probiotics. That's good bacteria. And I want to tell you, when you have good bacteria, you actually can naturally create B12 in your system. A lot of people will say that, if you're plant-based, your B12 is like non-existent. Not true. I've been plant-based for over 20 years, and my B12 is not non-existent, and I do not supplement. Is it lower than on the low scale of normal? Sure. But is it dangerously low? Absolutely not. Do I take any supplements? I do not. And I'm still able to, as a plant-based eater for 20 years, to create B12 in my system. How is that possible? Because the only way animals have B12 is because they eat from the ground. They get lots of bacteria. And the truth of the matter is that even animals are starving of B12 because they're not eating from the ground anymore. They're eating genetically modified corn and soy, so they're being pumped with B12. The whole world's on B12 supplements, it would appear. Anyway, that's another topic for another time. So just that note on probiotics and how important it is. Folks, let's move to the pancreas, because this is so important. The pancreas produces digestive enzymes that are so incredibly important, because your digestive enzymes help to break down the food we eat into those molecules that I was talking about. And the digestive enzymes are extremely important because those molecules have to be small enough to be absorbed by the small intestine, small tiny little holes there, to enter into the bloodstream. And it is very, very critical for you and I to get the nutrients out of the food for your digestive enzymes to work properly. So this is very, very key. Digestive enzymes are found in the mouth, they're found in the stomach, in the gallbladder, in the small intestines, but the majority come from your pancreas. So why is this important? This is so important because, number one, if you have a compromised pancreas, you may not be producing the digestive enzymes that you need. If you have a compromised gallbladder, then you may not be producing the bile that you need to break down the fats. So again, you're not going to get the right omegas, your omega-3, your omega-6s. You're not going to get your essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids are fats that your body doesn't produce. Our body produces its own cholesterol, but we still need essential fatty acids in order for many of the functions of the human body. But if your gallbladder is full of stones, if you have any gallbladder issues, if you have any pancreas issues in your pancreas, then your body's not going to be able to produce those proper enzymes. And how can we help our pancreas and our gallbladder to function optimally? Well, I got to tell you that there are foods that are extremely high in enzymes. Papaya is extremely high in enzymes. Raw honey has a number of natural enzymes in it. Mangoes, believe it or not, also contain natural amylase digestive enzymes, as do bananas. In fact, the riper bananas are, the more enzyme action it has. Kimchi, which is just like basically sauerkraut, fermented food, has those enzymes in it. Pineapple, super high in bromelain. Bromelain, it's very high. That's why a lot of people find that pineapple like irritates and scratches their mouth, because it's so high in bromelain, which are natural enzymes. So these foods, naturally high in digestive enzymes, believe it or not, that are found in the human body. And Inside Tracker has, I've used this slide. I thank them for this slide to show this beautiful picture of these. And the seeds in papaya are extremely high in digestive enzymes. Now, does this mean that you should run out and go eat a case of mango and eat a banana with every meal and make sure you're putting honey on all your food? Absolutely not. I'm going to explain in a few moments how to make all of this come together and make it abundantly clear and easy for you to understand. But I just want to get these principles. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, and you're just like, okay, so I need the probiotics and I need the digestive enzymes and I've got to chew at the same time. I'm going to make it clear, okay? So the other thing is that we don't want to inhibit digestion. Different enzymes come out for different foods. Fruits and vegetables digest extremely different. Fruits are high in fructose, and they're very, very high sugar content, and they digest extremely quickly. Vegetables, on the other hand, have very low glycemic impact to the body, so they digest a lot slower. They also require different enzyme action. So when you've got strawberries on top of your salad, when you're mixing, you know, your spinach, or you're having this vegetable meal, and you decide that having a fruit is a very healthy dessert, you and I are making a mess in our digestive system when we mix fruits and vegetables together. So this is extremely important to understand, that keeping fruits in one meal and vegetables in another meal, even blending together, making a smoothie, which is honestly not very good for digestion. Most of us aren't chewing it, so we just put it in the mouth and swallow. Smoothies are a terrible way to get to help with digestion, unless you're absolutely swishing it around in your mouth before you swallow and making sure it's not super cold. So that being said, is that whether it's a smoothie or whether it's a meal, let your fruits and your vegetables digest separately. The other thing that I want to point out to you here is that what you're seeing in front of you is not just fruits and vegetables. You're seeing unadulterated, raw, fresh food. Fresh food, guys. What happens if you cut that apple in half and you leave it and you cut it open, you walk away, you come back? You'd probably notice that it would start to brown. Why is that? Because it's oxidizing. Why is it oxidizing? It's oxidizing because there's so many enzymes in it, and as you cut it, it will oxidize. So fresh food has enzymes in it naturally. They are raw. So I want you to go back and think back to our pancreas slide. And I'm just going to bring that up. Your pancreas is in charge of creating most of the digestive enzymes that your intestinal tract needs. How can I give my pancreas a hand? What if I ate food that didn't require my pancreas to create a lot of enzymes? So what I want you to think about is whatever you can do to naturally help your body along naturally, not with supplements and not with man-made foods. But if I had a big salad, which has lots of enzymes in it, before I ate my chickpeas and my sweet potato and all of these cooked food, which requires my pancreas to make enzymes, if I put a bed of salad in before I even jumped into my cooked food, my pancreas would have to create a lot less digestive enzymes because there's so many enzymes in raw food. What happened if before I ate my cereal or my porridge or my chia seed pudding in the morning, which requires a lot of enzyme action for my pancreas, what if I had a big bowl of fruit first and I included pineapple or a banana or some papaya? What if I did that? Then if I eat my fruit first and I have my cereal right after, I would give my digestive system, my pancreas, a lot less work, if that makes sense. And the less work your body has to do, the more energy it has to do other things like heal and repair damaged cells and, help you think better and more clearly. So adding raw food before the cooked food is so helpful for the digestion process. Another thing that creates a lot of malabsorption of nutrients is eating and drinking. If we don't do this, your body and my body requires so much water, a lot of water for every function. In fact, that fiber is going nowhere down the colon if it doesn't have water to push it along. We need tons of water. In fact, if you think about your body being made up of 65% water, if I'm standing, that's like water like to my chest. That's like all water. That is a lot of water. So for sure, we need tons of water. But now I want you to go think back to your stomach and that hydrochloric acid, very, very, very strong acid coming out. I listened to Carolyn. I had my big bowl of fruits and then I had my oatmeal. As soon as that food starts dropping down through the esophagus, then it's amazing. What happens is that your hydrochloric acid comes out in full force to digest that food. And as it's coming out to digest that food, you and I take a glass of water and drink it down really quickly to get those fruits down our throat. Folks, what we have done very simply is that we have actually diluted the hydrochloric acid. We've also created this swimming pool of water inside the gut where now the food that you chewed very well, but it's still not perfect, it still has to be diluted. Now that food is swimming around in all of this water. Your hydrochloric acid has been diluted. It can't even get it properly. What a mess. Can you imagine that those nutrients inside the food, because your body has to like, wait, let's get all of this water gone, but you've destroyed some of the properties inside that, and you don't stop drinking, right? We don't just take one drink, we keep drinking and eating and drinking and eating and drinking and eating. So highly, highly recommended that you wait 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, folks, after you eat before you start drinking water. Extremely important. So once your food has become this little bit of a liquid chime, this mess of food inside the stomach from the hydrochloric acid, about 1 to 2 hours into digestion, then you can start drinking water. And believe me, even water needs those digestive enzymes in your mouth. So swish it around in your mouth before you swallow. So it's extremely important that you are waiting 1 to 2 hours before you start drinking water. Another thing that I want to, and there is going to be a part 2 of this, of the foods that bring great detriment to the digestive system and inhibit you and me from absorbing all the right nutrients, because we're definitely not going to get into all of it today. But I do want you to know that apple cider vinegar is the worst thing you can put in your digestive system, period. Well, I suppose there are worse things. You could eat rocks, that would be bad. But apple cider vinegar is, you know, one of the greatest, I won't even call it myths. I'm going to say that, you know, it's such a lie. And unfortunately, it creates so much detriment. I had a conversation with a gentleman this weekend that was we had a brunch in paradise in Hamilton, and I was sharing some of this information about apple cider vinegar. So I'll tell you a story in a second, but what I want you to understand is that although you may feel a little bit better with apple cider vinegar, I really want to squash that false truth out there that apple cider vinegar is good for digestion. It is not. It is actually creating worse digestion than probably even the problem you took it for in the beginning. And the reason being is that it's so high in acid that when apple cider vinegar goes inside the stomach, or any vinegar for that matter, it actually, your stomach acids, hydrochloric acid, your body knows its pH balance. So it knows how much acidity should be in the stomach. And believe me, the stomach is very, very high on the pH. It's not alkaline. Your stomach is extremely acidic, but it's supposed to be. Hydrochloric acid is in there. But there's only a certain acidity level that should be in the stomach. And through the process of homeostasis, which is just your body being in balance, if the acidity level is too high, your body's going to tell your hydrochloric acid to back off. So as you enter in this, put this, you know, apple cider vinegar in your stomach, your hydrochloric acid backs off. That's a problem, folks, because if you keep telling your hydrochloric acid to back off, when vinegar is not present, it will not digest. So as I was speaking to this gentleman, he went through 3 months of tests and MRIs and all sorts of scopes in his stomach because he was a healthy guy. And all of a sudden, he wasn't digesting properly, and he was getting bloating, and he was getting gas, and his energy started waning. And he's just like, I'm not absorbing nutrients properly. What is the problem? And no doctor could figure it out. And then he finally realized that the only change he had made to his diet is that he heard on a YouTube thing that he should add apple cider vinegar. It's very healthy for you. And he realized that that was the beginning of his problem. So he stopped the apple cider vinegar, and within about 2 or 3 weeks, energy got back. His bloating went away. And he says, you know, it's, you know, he's still kind of trying to recover from that because it's not perfect, but he could not believe the detriment that the vinegar does to him. You know, I'm seeing some questions come in the chat. Guys, we are getting close to wrapping up the session, so feel free to keep putting them in there, and I will address those. But I want you to know that vinegar is wine fermented. And so since vinegar is wine fermented, I want you to know that it is also poisoning your liver as well as ruining your digestive system. So there are about 4 major foods and things that we are eating that are also impeding digestion. And this will come next week in part 2 of this How to Eat Healthy seminar. So what I do want to wrap up this session with very quickly is how to put this all together. How can we put this all together to make a realistic eating? And some of you guys, I'm recognizing your names. Some of you have heard me go through this before. You've watched my 8 Secrets of Healing seminar on our website. Some of you may not have heard it, so I'll go through it very, very quickly. But instead of starting your morning with apple cider vinegar in your water, start with lemon. Lemon begins peristalsis, which helps to move the bowels. It's also fantastic for cleansing your liver and your kidney. The liver is a major organ as far as digestion goes because it creates bile. So you do definitely want a healthy liver. And the lemon juice, so you want about half a lemon in your water, it wakes up your stomach enzymes to say, hey, food is coming. The other thing too is that a lot of people do not have good digestion because they don't have a good waste system. So it's very important that you get your waste system cleaned up in the morning, and having a flush of water with another glass of water about 15 minutes later really helps your digestive system to get cleaned out and your waste system to really get flushed through, because that's what happens when we're eating. So now that I've shared this with you, and some of you guys have already played my game before, but now that I've shared this with you, we're going to jump into breakfast. So I recommend highly that you just eat 2 major meals a day, a big breakfast, a good lunch, and a super light dinner. So now that I've shared this with you, tell me what you think is a healthy breakfast. Okay, so we're going to say this is option 1 with this is actually an oatmeal bowl with a bunch of fresh berries on top, nuts and seeds. We also have a chia seed pudding, that's number 2, with some fresh berries. And we also have a smoothie bowl, which is number 3. So you're welcome to put in the chat if you would like to tell me if you think option 1, option 2, or option 3, which one would be a healthy breakfast. Would it be, oatmeal with the berries on top, the chia pudding with the berries? We're a little bit scared to answer. Or you've seen this before, and Cherie says 1, and we have option 3. I love the feedback, and everybody's wrong. So remember what I said is that number 1, smoothies are not the best way to digest, but number 2, you want to have your fresh fruit, like a bed of fresh fruit, before your breakfast option comes. So don't put your berries on top of your oatmeal. Don't put your fruit on top of your chia seed pudding. And really try to not have smoothies unless you're in a rush, but you want to chew your food unless you're really going to chew your smoothie. But you don't want to mix liquids and solids at the same time either, unless you're going to chew that solid to liquid. But the best way to have a healthy breakfast and a healthy digestive system is to have a big bowl of fresh fruit first. Finish that completely, and then have, right after, don't even wait, then have your oatmeal or your millet porridge or your chia seed pudding or your gluten-free bread. Okay, so that is the best way to let your pancreas have a break, because you're having all of this big raw fresh fruit bowl, and then you're having your breakfast item, one right after the other. But if you start with the raw before the cooked, this helps with digestion. Fruits digest so quickly, folks. You don't want to put it after, because then they ferment and you lose the nutrients that are in those fruits. If you eat a fruit as a dessert afterwards, fruits digest so quickly, it will digest before it can even escape into the intestinal tract. So now that fruit goes from being digested to fermenting, and you ruin the actual molecules of all those good berries. The antioxidants get ruined, the vitamin C gets ruined. By the time it gets into the intestinal tract, you do not have a good supply of nutrients, even though you eat all this fresh fruit. Does that make sense? And once you finish eating your wonderful fresh fruit and then your grains or whatever else, then we wait how long before we drink water? 1 to 2 hours. If you drank right away or drank while you're eating, you will dilute the enzymes and you will destroy the nutrients that are in the food. So understanding again that a lot of people are eating healthy foods, but because they're eating their fruits on top of their porridge, or because they're not eating fruits before they eat their breakfast option, or because they're eating and drinking at the same time, they're ruining all those nutrients, those expensive berries, those steel cut oats that cost more than your Quaker Quick Oats, your chia that you're having, you're putting your fresh fruits on top. We are eating all of these expensive foods, and the nutrients are being destroyed because of how we're eating. It's incredible. So now we have eaten this wonderful breakfast properly. We waited our 1 to 2 hours. We're drinking water, 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 water. Folks, what happens if at 11 o'clock, I'm not feeling hungry, but there's some some cherries that are sitting on the counter. They're, you know, maybe you're getting them ripened, or maybe some strawberries. Maybe your neighbor just picked some strawberries, knocks on your door, since it's not, you know, we're allowed to visit our neighbors, I think now. And they're like, hey, Carolyn, I brought you some fresh strawberries. I just picked them. I know you were busy at work today, so you know, here's a pint of strawberries for you. Oh, neighbor, you're so sweet. She's like, taste them. They're so juicy. They're so sweet. I'm not hungry, but I go and have a very one strawberry. What will happen is my breakfast that was in the middle of digestion will stop, and it will start to work on that new food, because only one thing, folks, can be digested at a time. Now, the problem with that is that food that was being digested starts to ferment. And when we have fermentation, what happens is that those nutrients and vitamins that are in that food start to break down and become ruined. So my recommendation is that you just drink water for the next 4 to 5 hours until you feel hungry. And when you feel hungry, let's have lunch. So maybe we're going to have a delicious curry stew with chickpeas and every vegetable known to man. Maybe you made your own kidney bean burger with vegan cheese on a gluten-free bun and lots of good veggies inside there. Or maybe we're going to have a little bit of salad with some brown rice and a Moroccan stew. So option A, we're going to jump into this delicious curry dish. Option B, we're going to have a wonderful homemade burger with lots of veggies on a gluten-free bun. Option C, we're going to have some salad with some brown rice and a Moroccan stew. Any of these a good lunch? C comes pretty close. Number 3 comes pretty close, but I'm going to tell you that your salad should be bigger than, if not just as big, but it should be the salad first. You don't want to, we're catching on, I'm so glad. You want that big salad. And are we going to use a vinegar dressing, a delicious balsamic? No, we are not going to do that. We're going to put some lemon juice, wonderful for enzymes, a little bit of olive oil, maybe some nuts or seeds. And once the salad is finished, folks, then you're going to have your healthy plant-based meal. And probably you won't have tons of room for all this cooked food, because your body's so full of this fiber, which is great for your bowels, great for digestion. You've got these raw enzymes in the bottom of your stomach before that cooked food comes. And as well, you're getting maximum nutrients. But of course, if you didn't chew this meal well, you might as well have just eaten a burger. So understanding that you've got to chew the food to liquid in order for the nutrients to be absorbed. Then you wait an hour, drinking only 1 to 2 hours, water, and only water until the evening comes. And when the evening comes, we're going to have dinner. We're going to have maybe some fresh salad rolls, or maybe a small amount of a delicious curry stew with fresh dill, and that is some vegan yogurt. Or maybe we're just going to have a small bowl of lo mein noodles. Are any of these a good choice for a healthy dinner? Option 1, 2, or 3? No, no, no. Yay, I'm getting good answers. I also just want to remind you that I am giving a diet, a plan. This is not a diet. I'm giving a map of what your day looks like for a generally healthy person. I meet people and I do consultations with people. I do programs with people that can't touch salads. They're not allowed to have a salad. So I'm going to show you at the end how you can get a consultation done for yourself and waive your $35 consultation fee. Correct. This is a healthy dinner. And the reason why this is a healthy dinner is because your body at night doesn't need food. If it has enough food in the day, when you sleep, you want your body to begin to do that work of taking all those nutrients you ate all day and start to process them and use them and put them in the right place. It's really incredible when you can sleep on an almost empty stomach. So I just want to encourage you that the other thing too is that when you've got good probiotics in the system, you have a healthier system. Good probiotics, when you are constantly interrupting digestion or when you're eating, especially at night, those probiotics can't form. But when you fast, and that will be part of next week's session, when you fast from, your last meal is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon all the way till the morning, now we're creating really good probiotics. You're letting the bacteria grow in your stomach without interruption. So can you see, folks, how all of these things that I spoke to you about with the enzymes and the probiotics, how it all comes together? Sure, put some sauerkraut on your salad. Absolutely. Include pineapple, papaya, or bananas in with your breakfast fruits. So, doing those things will help, but following the rhythm on how to eat helps the most. And there are some people maybe even here today, and I just want to show you a few before and after pictures of some people that have, absolutely changed the way that they're eating, and eating less, but eating more nutrients, and weight is balancing, blood pressure is gone, arthritic pain is out the window, liver is healed. So if you need more information, of course, here is my contact information available at the Energy Shack. You can call us, you can book a consultation. And for our viewers tonight, you can write down these codes, because if you would like to begin a fast to get your system cleaned up, there are some great ways to do it. I am offering you a free consultation. All you need to put is when you fill out your intake form online and it says, how did you hear about us? You can just say, how to eat seminar, and your consultation fee of $35 will be waived. Just go to our website, click on consultation, watch that video if you have the time, and fill out your intake form. And somebody will be in touch with you within 48 hours to book that consultation. It's by phone or video. If you want to get started with the detox, I am giving you a coupon code right now, 10 off detox, and you will be able to use that coupon code until the end of the month in order for you to get 10% off your detox. And if you'd really like to make a change and you've got it in your budget and it's not even that expensive, Zarla is offering you and has offered everybody on the summer challenge, but she says, you know what, offer it to the folks that are on today. You can use coupon code summer challenge and get $10 off your meals. The other thing too is that last day to order is Wednesday. But if you order by tonight before midnight, she can still add you to the schedule for Sunday delivery. So just go to delectablebyzarlajane.com, get your order in. This week's menu is my favorite menu of all time, japchae and Alfredo, and the harvest bowl is so delicious. So if there's any week to try Zarla out, it is this week for sure. So that being said, I'm going to, for the last few minutes that we have, thank you guys for being so attentive. I'm going to jump through some of these questions. And if you have more questions, feel free to put it in the chat. So is it okay to use vinegar to wash your vegetables? It absolutely is okay if you can wash the vinegar off. And vinegar is wonderful for other things like cleaning sinks. It's a natural way to clean with some baking soda. It's very great for catching fruit flies. It's also good for getting rid of ringworm, your apple cider vinegar. And yes, you should always eat your cooked food right after your fruits, right away. So you're having your oatmeal or whatever you're having right after your fruits. You're having your cooked food right after your salad. So someone else has also asked a question is, if I only have fruits for breakfast for no cooked food, how long do I have to wait again before eating? That is a fantastic question. There's many times that I'm mostly a raw eater, so I don't really have a lot of cooked food. So the answer to that is that you would need to listen to your body. It's most likely if you have your fruits, you wait 1 to 2 hours and you drink water, you'll probably digest that within 3 hours. but listen to your body. If you're not hungry for 2 hours, for 4 hours or 5 hours, don't eat. But generally, fruits take anywhere, depending on how many you have, 1 to 4 hours for digestion. And the best way to incorporate seeds into your diet, like chia, like flax seeds, so you want to soak or grind your chia. You can't just throw chia on your salad. Your molars for sure are not chewing that. So soaked but still well chewed, or ground and sprinkled on top of your breakfast grains if you like. Um, as pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, these are fantastic for dopamine. So you do want to include them, but never more than 1 to 2 tablespoons. And flax must be ground in order for your body to absorb the nutrients. And we're going to talk about that in session 2, about some foods that just can't get absorbed. Like, you know, you eat corn and it comes out the other end. Why is that? Well, the same thing, folks, with flax and chia. It becomes a problem unless you eat them properly. So I hope that helps. You can sprinkle your sunflower seeds or your pumpkin seeds on top of your breakfast cooked item, or you can also put them on top of your salad. When there's some issues with the gallbladder, is it okay to remove it? Your gallbladder should not be removed from your body. If you go on our website and you watch Crystal's video, she called me from the emergency room at the hospital saying, you know, I'm having a gallbladder attack, and I've had one before, and they want to at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was 10 o'clock at night. They want me to stay overnight so that they can remove my gallbladder in the morning. Carolyn, I don't want to lose an organ. What can we do? And I was able to share with her a gallbladder flush. I didn't promise. The problem too was that there was a stone infected in the opening of the gallbladder. So we were in a serious situation, and I didn't want to play around with natural remedies, but she was so convinced she didn't want to lose this gallbladder. We tried it. Folks, I'm going to tell you that we moved that big stone and about 25 others. It was so fantastic, and they all came out in her poop within about 24 to 48 hours of doing the gallbladder flush. So I can't tell you what to do, but your gallbladder is so important. It stores bile, so it regulates the bile into the intestinal tract. When you don't have that gallbladder, it comes right from the liver. It's not regulated properly. So you will forever have digestion issues if you do not have a gallbladder. If you don't have a gallbladder, there are certain ways you can eat. You have to really limit your fat intake so you can still live a healthy life. But don't let a doctor make you think that, oh, this is the second time you've had a gallbladder attack. Let's just get rid of your gallbladder. You don't really need it anyways. Yes, you do. All right. So I hope that answers that question. And if you do have stones in your gallbladder, which are generally produced if you do too much fasting, that can produce some stones. If you don't drink enough water in your diet, and if you eat, foods that are heavily processed, lots of saturated fats, or if you have a great amount of stress, that can absolutely create gallstones. So the enzymes that are in the gallbladder are in the bile that help to digest the fats. You can get in contact with me and to be able to help you to do that gallbladder flush. So we also had another question from Joan. Great question. What if you're not hungry in the morning? Do you have to force yourself to eat breakfast? Well, most people are not hungry in the morning because they're still digesting dinner. When your last meal is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you've had nothing all night except a cup of herbal tea, you are generally so starving in the morning, you're going to eat your pillow and blankets before you even get to the kitchen. If that's still not the case for you, you may need a digestive enzyme, which we'll talk about in session 2. Just Joan, and for anybody else that's not hungry in the morning, I'd recommend that you follow that 2 meal a day. Breakfast is maybe 8, 9 o'clock the latest, and then you have your second meal when you're hungry, hopefully by 2, 3 o'clock the latest, and just do herbal tea at night. And most likely you will wake up like ready to eat everything in your fridge. And if you have gallbladder polyps, which I will just take. These will be the last two questions. So if you do have gallbladder polyps, you'd have to be in touch with me because we have to recreate an environment in your system where polyps aren't growing. And for sure, there are some people that have tumors growing on their gallbladder and it has to be removed. So there are situations where you might not have a choice, but always, unless your life is in jeopardy, but you always want to try natural remedies first. But remember, natural remedies take time. So again, I just encourage you, if you haven't done a consultation with me, I've just offered it for free. We should not eat pickles, so that was a question as well. And if you're in our sauerkraut food demo, I will show you how you can make pickles out of cucumbers without actually using vinegar. So stay away from jalapeno peppers, stay away from pickles, because all of those contain vinegar. So folks, it is now at 8:34. We started at 7:35. We had a full hour session, so on time. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for letting me record it as well for those who missed the session. Thank you for all your wonderful questions. This was a lot of information, but I hope it was really valuable for you. And join us next week for part 2, when we're going to talk about which healthy foods, you will be so surprised, we mentioned a few of them today, which healthy foods actually impede your digestive system. You won't believe. So I will see you next week. Tell your friends, send the link out, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, guys.
Hi, Carolyn.
See you later. Thank you.